Are you recording? Oh, yes. Got our shop back together, finally. Spray foam guys are out of here. Most of the mess cleaned up. Anyway. Project Panhead. We're gonna get this thing rolling. We've been picking at it here and there. Rebuilt the tranny, or resealed it anyway. It didn't work, still leaked. Did a bunch more research. Found a guy that he machines out a little part and basically adds an O-ring, and that's supposed to take care of that. So we're gonna give that one more shot. This thing's leaked. Oh, I don't know, I've had it for over 20 years and it's always leaked. So yeah, I think that's why I don't ride it, because it leaks onto the belt and then the belt gets saturated, and then you know, these are $100 and something a piece, and just kind of get tired of buying them after a while. But I think we're gonna fix it this time. But yeah, so we're gonna rock and roll on this thing for a little bit and try to get it ready for summer and cruise it around a little bit, and maybe it won't leak all over the floor everywhere it sits. Where we left off. New day. Anyway, I had to run to the hydraulic store and get some 8th MPT to 5/16 hose fittings. I had some 3/8 ones on there, and I think the last time I just tried to stretch the hose over and it looked pretty ghetto. So anyway, yeah, getting all the oil lines done. This isn't what you typically see on a panhead as far as oil line routing. So on these open belts, you're supposed to screw the chain oiler screw all the way in on the oil pump so that it doesn't oil out of this hole for the original chain primary. But what I found on these, if they sit for a long time, the oil tank will drain all the way into the crankcase through the oil pump. No matter what you do to that check valve, everyone says you got to reseat it and all that. Well, that works for a little bit, but not all the time. So what I do is I run a hose off of that chain oiler port up to the oil tank, top of the oil tank. So then when you fire it up after it sits for a long time, all the oil will just puke back into the tank instead of on the ground. And then I run a separate breather. I don't know what happened to the camera there. Anyway, I run the chain oiler all the way up to the tank, in case you missed that, and then I run a separate breather out of the tank, and I just terminate it back here off the frame in front of the tire. That way you blow all the oil on the tire and cause an accident. So no, there's like nothing. I mean, unless you have a shitload of crankcase pressure and your engine's tired, there shouldn't be a whole lot coming out of there. So and then yeah, so that's how I do that. So let me see if I can get a picture. That's the newer style pump, and if you see that flathead screw right there, that's your chain oiler port. So close that baby all the way off. And then this is a custom tank that I built, but you could do it with any stock tank. Just the only thing I should have done is probably move this breather over here on the other side of the tank. We got parts. So I don't know where we left off. Anyway, this oil leak deal, I think I talked about it. Anyway, so this is the little spacer. It's basically your inner race, or not inner race, but your I don't know what they call it. It's some kind of basically it captures the needle bearings in there, and then it's your I guess it'd be your inner race for the bearing, or not for the bearing, for the seal to ride on. Bear with me, I'm not a Harley expert. But anyway, I'll put the link in the description, but a guy up in Canada, he machines a groove on the ID here and installs this O-ring. And I don't think I have the stock one sitting here, but long story short, they all leak. They all leak down through these little splines or whatever, and you know, you try to silicone them up and all that, and nothing really ever works. So he machines that little groove in there and installs that O-ring. I think he's 60 or 70 bucks or something, I can't remember. He gives you a couple extra O-rings, but looks like he does a really nice job. And we're gonna get that installed and try to get this belt drive back together once and for all. I've had this thing probably apart a dozen times trying to seal it up over the years, and nothing's ever worked. So hopefully this will be one of the last times. So what they tell you to do is tape up these threads with some black tape. And then they want you to, I think they want you to say to grease it up, but I think we're just gonna do a little WD. Some nice kind of light oil. So, kind of work this on real gentle. Don't want to cut anything. Got too much tape. So let's try this again. Or, yeah, we're just have to try it again because it's already all gooey. God, I only had one wrap. Be brave and try it without the tape. Just really gentle. Really, really gentle. Oh, it went on. Let's see if we got any O-ring material. I think we're good. I don't see any chunks of O-ring. I think we're gonna go with that. I don't see any chunks of O-ring, so I don't think we nicked it or anything. So we're good. And then he's got some kind of special instructions on what to do with the rest of the stuff. I think he says don't use the cork. I think he says just put the seal in there. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put some silicone on this seal. We'll get that drove in, and we've got our little keeper that keeps this whole thing from rotating. And what else we got? We got that little guy is gonna go in there. Well, we ran out of parts on the transmission reseal job here. Apparently there's a thing called a super nut that has like a seal built into the nut that we're missing on this early 4-speed. I guess the later ones, oh, where's that little seal? The later ones get this little seal on the main shaft, but the early ones, these don't fit in there, so there's a seal built into the nut that goes over the whole thing. Anyway, we ordered that. When that gets here, we'll continue on with that fiasco. But for now, we got a new taillight. Yeah, new taillight. So some other little small upgrades I wanted to do. So we'll start kind of knocking some of these small things out here while we're waiting on parts. So out here on the panhead again today, we got some parts in the mail. This is the super nut, they call it. It's got a seal built into the nut, and this is what came in my seal kit, and this I guess is for a later model, which does not fit in the earlier model main shaft. So And I never knew that because this thing was a basket case when I got it. So let's find the old nut. There it is. So that's the nut I had on there, just a standard nut. And I couldn't figure out why this thing always leaked, and I'm assuming that that's part of it. I don't know. We're gonna find out, I guess, when we put this thing back together. But yeah, so we got that on there, and we're gonna get this clutch assembly put back together and keep buying more stuff. So new tail light, I think we covered that. We got the new kicker in the mail. I'll put the link in the description for the guy that builds these custom. It's a World War I trench knife. Pretty cool. US 1918, then he engraves whatever you want on it. So pretty nice piece. But let's get this clutch back together. Got our keyway in there. Got our special little washer. That's got to line up in there, and then got our nut. Use our left-hand thread. Got our nut with the new clutch release rod seals in there. Let's see here. So again, left-hand thread. I'll make sure that washer stays put in the little keyway. Looks like we're good. All right. Let's see if we can reach in there and bend one of those over. Oh yeah, piece of cake. Okay, that goes in there. Let's see, what's next? I think next we gotta put our BDL belt drive clutch, be like a clutch drum maybe? I don't know what they call that, but and then we gotta put all these little needle bearings in there. But we'll have to clean them up and re-grease them, and you guys probably don't need to watch that. They all kind of ride inside there. I think they call this thing like the Big Fix or something like that. It gets rid of that little stamped one with the, doesn't have very many rollers in it, so. Okay, got the drum on. Got all the needles loaded in there. You gotta be real light on the grease because you don't want grease flying into your clutch discs and getting them all contaminated. So I just do like just a little wipe around the hub and then a little wipe around the drum, and then I just put the needles in kind of dry, and you can kind of roll them around. But anyway, that's only moving when your clutch is depressed. So yeah. Alright, well, let's get all the discs loaded in here, and we can start adjusting things, and then we can put our chain on. And okay, all done. Got the belt back on, clutch assembled, chains on, adjusted. Everything seems to move. Clutch works. The clutch disc went on a little snug, because that was a new, I don't know what you call that, carrier or something. Anyway, yeah, I tried kind of knocking them around with a hammer a little bit to make them slip on there smoother. So hopefully the clutch won't drag. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Might be taking them back apart and kind of maybe clearancing the holes out on the discs to let them float a little better, but we'll see. Probably cut this one here, and then the next one we'll finish up getting the oil filter mounted and plumbed in, and probably get the wiring done. And I want to finish up the rear fender, new battery. We got a lowering kit for the fork. Still got quite a bit to do, but progress. Hopefully this thing won't fucking leak anymore. That'll be cool. And yeah, thanks for watching.